we wanted to start out by asking each of you to kind of give an opening statement, explain why you are the best candidate for the job in, say, a minute or less, and we'll just go in alphabetical order. So, Commissioner Gelin, we'll start with you.
Sure. So, my wife and I moved to Tamarac in 2006. And since living in Tamarac, I've been active as a youth basketball coach for multiple seasons. I've served on the Tamarac Youth Advisory Board, and I've learned the internal operations of the city as a student of Tamarac University. Once I became elected as the District 2 Commissioner, I've been successful in passing laws to create opportunities for local, small, and veteran-owned businesses, lowered property taxes 2 years in a row, passed laws to improve traffic safety. I've been extremely responsive to resident concerns. And while I've had some success on the commission, I've also run into obstructionists that do not support economic prosperity at all, for all, that do not respect the environment or support the environment, do not believe in transparency or accountability. Tamarac has grown to become a more diverse city, and we have to be a city that's responsive to everyone. And we must be a city that is going to break free from the cloud of corruption that we've had in the past. We have to be a city that is responsive to the needs of the residents and be a place where families can live, thrive at their workplace, have a high quality standard of living. And of course, we are well known for being a great retirement community. And I believe that based on the policies that I've put in place thus far and the responsible leadership that I've demonstrated to the residents of the city of Tamarac, that I'm the best candidate and the best leader to move Tamarac forward and not backward. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a small business owner, and I'm a community servant. I want to leave this community a better place than it was before I got on the commission. I've done that as the Vice Mayor and District 2 Commissioner, and I want to extend on that progress as the Mayor of the City of Tamarac.
Oh, okay, thank you. Mayor Gomez, floor is yours.
Thank you. Basically, I am a resident of the city for 28 years plus. I've been coming down since the late 70s, so about 44 years, but we're not going to go here on age. And I believe that I have been invested in the city, not only personally with my business, because I am a small business owner as well. I have my business here in Tamarac. I own my location and I own my home and where I live because I had an opportunity to move and I just couldn't move out of the city because I have watched it grow. I'm proud to be a part of our growth. I'm proud that so many people have decided to move into our city, especially over the last 10 years we've seen from our census. And we have grown. Our average age is 49. And one of the things that I enjoy doing is being out there among our residents and our business owners and listening to what they have to say. And through being out and about and being very accessible to our business owners and our residents, we've been able to put in place things that make people want to call Tamarac their home, make people where they want to come enjoy their lifestyle here. We have a way to go. We're not perfect, but we are doing very well. We have to do smart planning. You can't just say we have an idea right now and then we're going to run with it. You have to plan it. You have to figure out how to pay for it. You got to figure out if people actually want it. We've been doing a great job with making sure that we are bringing smart investment here into our city. I won't go through the names, but our businesses that have been moving in, we've been working on our infrastructure consistently to make sure we're not like any of our sister cities that have a major problem. Some of these things that we do are not attractive, but they're necessary. And we are doing all that we can to make sure that people know that we are open for business and that we also do have housing that they can afford. And that we have parks that they can enjoy, places that they feel safe. So as an attorney, as a mediator, as someone who's been very vested in this city, I want to continue our growth. I want to continue what we've been working so hard for. I want to continue being able to work on programs that actually fit our city for everybody. We are here as nonpartisan people. We are here to leave ourselves behind and do what's best for the residents and the business owners in our community. And I believe that I am the best person for that.
All right. Mayor Gomez, Mike Gelin says in his questionnaire that you were the only member of the city commission who defended and voted to keep Mike Cernich as the former city manager. And of course, Mike Cernich now is gone and he's facing serious public corruption charges. Is Mike Gelin right about that?
The facts are that I voted or I requested a motion to suspend without pay. That's not keeping the city manager on the dais. That's suspending without pay. When reading Mr. Cernich's contract, his contract is very specific for the reasons of why he can be terminated. And so our charter is also very specific on the ways that we can remove the city manager. So since we weren't able to do it by contract, the best result for our city without buying us into a lawsuit is to suspend without pay. So
Okay.
that is why I wanted it. I felt it was the same thing without having the city be sued.
Mr. Gelin, that's very different than voting to keep Cernich as city manager. You agree?
No, it is voting to keep him. When you suspend someone, they're still retained by the city. This man has been dealing with convicted felons, with the father and son duo of the Chates. The attorney general explained in the arrest affidavit that he lied to the highest level of government. That includes the city managers, the directors, and the city commission. So he's proven to be untrustworthy. You cannot have someone that is untrustworthy leading the city and still as part of the city. And that's why the majority of the commission, by a 4-1 vote, decided to terminate him with cause, meaning no pension benefits, no additional benefits. And it's necessary for us, in order to have a business community that trusts the city, we have to have a city manager and a leader that can be trusted, and one that is not going to be dealing and self-dealing and in their own self-interest.
Okay. Back to you, Mayor Gomez. If you had to go through this ordeal with Cernich all over again, would you have taken the same position, motion to suspend without pay?
Yes, because that's what our city would not have our city into a lawsuit. I disagree, obviously, with Commissioner Vice Mayor Gelin, because suspension without pay is one item. And then the other thing, that there's a whole process in his contract that could have had we weren't allowed to use certain words on the dais due to the contract. And so there were other steps that could have been taken after the suspension without pay that, again, would not have our city potentially being sued for wrongful termination. And when you're suspended, you have no access to the city. You have the same thing you can get to the same result through a different mechanism.
They take your keys away? They take your keys away?
You have no access. You're not getting anything. You're not getting pension, and anything that would happen at the end of a case, because again, in our country, is you're innocent until proven guilty, not guilty until proven innocent. That's a whole set aside. As a commission, we're just making sure that this person would no longer be part of the daily activities and receiving any funding from the city.
Okay.
Part of the terms and condition of the contract is for the city manager to let us know when he's being investigated by authorities. He did not make anyone on the commission aware that he was being investigated by authorities. That right there is a violation of his contract and cause for termination. The city attorney also identified other terms of conditions of the contract, which leads to cause of termination. And if the mayor was so confident and really wanted to adhere to the terms of the conditions of the contract, then she should have led the effort to have the commission conduct a performance evaluation of the city manager, which was never done. On 3 separate occasions, I asked to have a performance evaluation of the city manager, which is part of the terms and condition of his contract. It says the city commission must, it shall, which means must, provide a written performance evaluation of the city manager. It was never done. And on 3 occasions, on the final occasion, when I brought it up on time, submitted the item on the commission, the mayor changed the rules of the game and said, oh, items must be brought to the commission on Tuesday instead of Wednesday, even though throughout the whole time I've been on the commission, we've all submitted items by Wednesday. So she's tried throughout her whole term to make sure the city manager was never held accountable, never had a performance evaluation. In what business, in what industry are you allowed to write your own performance evaluation and give yourself the maximum raise, the maximum bonus?
Okay.
Everyone says that's okay.
All right. Understand. All right. The point's been made loud and clear. Mayor Gomez, you opposed a performance evaluation of Michael Cernich?
No, I didn't oppose the performance evaluation of Michael Cernich. The performance evaluation was done in accordance in the way the commissions have been doing it in the past. It was a very—
It's always been done incorrectly.
Hold on a second. Mr. Gelin, with all due respect, this is going to be a civil discussion. This is not a Tamarac City Commission meeting, okay? With all due respect. And I'm going to ask you to speak one at a time. Mayor Gomez, go ahead.
Just because rules of the past were not appreciated by everybody who may have came on board, we were open to discussion to doing it a different mechanism. But it doesn't mean rules weren't followed. Rules were followed. And as for fixing or changing the requirements. The requirements have been in our rules all along, that Tuesday at noon. Just because, unfortunately, for a period of time, people were calculating it incorrectly. I'm sure by accident, not on purpose. The rules had to be followed. As Mr. Gelin knows quite well, I'm a stickler for making sure that we follow the procedures, whether it is to something that is not to my benefit or not. The fact the rules of the city are what we're supposed to follow, and that's what we did our pledge to.
Okay.
And as for some of the other stuff that was said regarding Mr. Cernich, that's a lawsuit right now. He's in the middle of a lawsuit. We're potentially going to be in a lawsuit. So I am no longer going to further discuss any of the sound bites that were just mentioned by my opponent.
Okay, just before, and Mr. Gelin, I will give you a say, sir. I will. But just give me, Mayor Gomez, why is there, I'm not trying to drag you into a further discussion, but why is there going to be a lawsuit involving the city and Mr. Cernich? Why is that?
I believe there's a good potential of a lawsuit due to his contract and his termination and the way it went about, and comments that have been made regarding Mr. Cernich and the city. It's just a feel I have.
You think there's a good possibility that he was wrongfully terminated, right?
The process in which he was terminated, yes, I believe was incorrect.
Okay. Mr. Gelin, go ahead if you want to respond briefly to what Mayor Gomez just said.
So number one, the city attorney disagrees with Mayor Gomez. Number two, the city faces lawsuits all the time. Many of the lawsuits are dismissed. Number three, again, the terms and condition of the contract, it clearly states that the city commission must provide a written performance evaluation of the city manager on an annual basis. And this was never done. The city manager wrote his own evaluation, and the city commission just accepted it. So yes, I give myself the maximum raise, the maximum bonus, and that's it. So when I came in, I said, hold on, that's not what the terms and condition of the contract says. And the mayor fought against the city commission following the terms and conditions of the city manager's contract. And so she abdicated her fiduciary responsibility as the leader of the city.
Okay. I've got a couple more questions, Dan, but I want to also defer to you if you have anything pressing.
May I make one comment on that?
Hold on just a second. I've called on my colleague, Dan.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's right. Dan?
Yeah, Mayor Gomez, you said some of the things that you're doing in your opening statement. You said some of the things you're doing in the city now are not attractive but necessary, and you kind of went on to then highlight some of the better things you're doing. So when you say something is not attractive but necessary, what exactly do you mean?
Our pipelining, lining our water pipes, are making sure that we don't have intrusion, that they don't break, that we can get water going to everybody's home. On the east side of our city, when we brought them in 2010, there was an incorporation of unincorporated Broward. Some of that part of the city is not on our city water line. So they are paying different rates, and some of it is higher because they're paying another city's rates. So we've been working on a mechanism to get them on our city. We've had conversations with that other city to be able to negotiate getting them onto our water, and then also making sure our water meters are more accurate. And so we're doing a water meter plan. We've been doing a water meter plan, and then there's some other things that are coming up and in the future regarding our meters. But those are the things that we're doing. Also making plans for paving, also making plans for our working with our other FDOT in the county and working on our traffic and things like that. They're not sexy, but they're needed.
Understood. Just wanted to nail down what exactly you were talking about there. Commissioner Gelin,
Yes.
It's kind of water under the bridge at this point since it was stopped in May. But I want to ask you why you felt that the city needed an increase of $75,000 in travel expenses for city commissioners.
I didn't believe that I felt the need for an increase.
It was your proposal, wasn't it?
No.
The $75,000 increase?
It was not my proposal, no.
You voted in favor of it?
I voted in favor of it. I never used it. And actually,
well, the money was never put in the budget, right?
It was put in the budget and no one accessed it. So I believe you're referring to a fixed expense allowance or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there was a fixed expense allowance that each of the members of the commission had an option to sign up for. It was presented and each of the commissioners had a document to sign. So if they agreed, then they could have taken advantage of it. And no one agreed except for at the time, Vice Mayor Elvin Villalobos. He initially agreed, then he dropped out of it, but no one actually took the option. So it was just there on the table in case someone felt the need to take advantage of it, but no one felt the need to take advantage of it.
Whose proposal was it if it wasn't yours?
I believe it came from the city attorney.
The city attorney said that all of you guys need to have these fixed expense
No,
accounts.
the city attorney was responding to the fact that multiple receipts were needed for minor items. So he said, in order to avoid the potential for any false claims or the potential to get in trouble, let's establish a fixed allowance for minor expenses. And anyone that wanted to take advantage of that had the option of signing the document and taking advantage of the allowance, and no one felt the need for it.
It was his number?
I
The
believe
attorneys?
so. I believe so.
Okay. Mayor Gomez, that all sounds accurate to you?
Not at all.
Okay. Walk me through what you would disagree with.
Well, I'll take it back. There was one person who did opt in, but after public outcry and discussion, he did remove it, the want or the opt in for that. There was a period of time when we had an attorney on staff that instead of waiting to have 3 people on a commission bring something forth for consensus and bring back an ordinance for us to review, took the direction of one commissioner and brought something to the commission, and then the commission voted on it. I did not support it. Our current rules for the paperwork that is being discussed, we don't bring a lot of receipts unless it's for a travel out. The process is that you get a per diem if you're traveling far away, if you're going to, say, National League of Cities, Florida League of Cities, and you're going to somewhere where you're gonna, everything is done ahead of time if possible, and that you have a fixed budget for what your lunch, dinner, or breakfast would be based on national guidelines. But certain things like tolls and whatnot would be separate. You'd have to put those in. But basically, that's it was budgeted the first year we wound, I believe, but then we wound up not budgeting any further. I had the request and I made the request, and I had actually had it ready for the request prior to the OIG making its report known, because I felt it's something that should be coming off that, along with the initiative fund and several other things that were put on to our budget that were unnecessary in my opinion, and more for, anyway, it was unnecessary in my opinion for the city. It wasn't going to be for the benefit of the residents.
Okay. Commissioner Gelin, walk me through the parliamentary procedures of the April 27th City Commission meeting. There's a meeting where there were only 4 of you in attendance. There could not, and the mayor can't make a motion. So there was constantly this kind of gavel passing you can watch online. What exactly was the impetus behind that?
I don't remember exactly what meeting you're talking about when you just throw out a date of April 27th. There's a debate as to whether or not the mayor can or cannot make a motion. One commissioner asked the city attorney to provide a written memo explaining whether or not the mayor can or cannot make a motion. So the mayor believes that she can make a motion and has made motions recently, although we have not received clarification from the current city attorney. So now that I'm speaking more, I can recall that at that particular meeting, the attorney made it clear that the mayor cannot make a motion. And so I don't remember what the topic of discussion was, but because the mayor cannot make the motion, the gavel is passed on to the vice mayor, and the vice mayor chairs the meeting for that moment.
Right.
That's not the first time that happened in a meeting. The mayor has passed the gavel to Vice Mayor Elvin Villalobos at the time he served as vice mayor. So there are times where the mayor passes the gavel on to the vice mayor.
The oddball part about this was it was just approving the consent agenda, fairly routine work in a city commission meeting. And she asked for, I believe, Mayor, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but she asked for a motion, and no one would say anything. I'm just kind of wondering why that is, why everybody just kept silent instead of just saying, motion to pass consent agenda, second, and move on. What was the point of that?
I don't know. In my case, I didn't feel a need to second the motion. And so I did not. So I observe all parliamentary procedures as I do in all commission meetings. So there was nothing that went wrong procedurally in that meeting.
Sure.
And that was clarified by the city attorney.
Mayor, do you recall that meeting?
I do.
Okay.
So in the past, we were always told that the mayor doesn't second. The mayor just chairs. Somebody does a motion, somebody does a second. So I continually received the motions, but I wasn't receiving the seconds. In order to get the business of the city done, and we had a lot of important business of the city besides just the consent agenda, we had, I believe we also had our contracts for our employees, something that we had been working really hard so they can get their contract, because they've been working on an extended contract because of COVID. We didn't get a chance to finish our negotiations. So we had a lot of important business of the city that had to be done. So that is why I handed over the gavel. It wasn't until after that commission meeting, our city attorney, our newest city attorney, had made the determination after re-reviewing our rules that I was able to make motions, and reviewing it in light of Robert's rules and the size of our commission and the capacity, that I was able to do so. And he has stated that clearly on the record several times. As for him putting out a memo at this time, he has not, I guess. I have not seen it, but his comments as parliamentarian on the record are sufficient, and that is why I've done it. And I think it is very well known that I don't hand over the gavel lightly, because I do take my responsibility as mayor very, very seriously.
I'll move on to a much more recent city commission meeting, less than a week ago, where you folks approved the new millage rate. Commissioner Gelin, you and Commissioner Bolton held out for a millage rate decrease of 0.2 mil. Is that right?
That's correct.
And that's roughly a little over $1 million off the budget. Can you are you confident that the residents won't notice the impacts there?
I'm very confident. In fact, I received an email from a resident whose property tax for the city of Tamarac went from $523 last year to $1,400 this year. There were members of the audience, Tamarac residents, who came to the commission meeting and explained that they had significant increases in their tax bill for the city of Tamarac line item. For the last 3 years, Tamarac has been $9 million on average under budget. Year to date this year, with September 30th being the last day of our budget cycle, we are $18 million under budget. On top of that, we received $5 million in federal dollars related to COVID that can be used to replace revenues. If we kept the property tax rate the same, we would double the revenue we received last year. We would increase our revenue from year over year. We normally have an increase of about $1.8 to $2 million. Because values went up so high, it would have jumped to $4 million. So we did not need to put a heavier burden on our taxpayers and our residents than we have to, at a time when residents are facing high gas prices, inflation, increased insurance costs, increased assessments for those living in condos, increased HOA fees. There was no reason to put that burden on when we are already year to date at an $18 million surplus. I initially asked within an hour of the meeting starting to lower the increase from 7.2 to 7.0. So Commissioner Villalobos, Commissioner Placo, and Mayor Gomez wanted to have a higher tax increase on the residents. So it takes a supermajority, a 4-to-1 vote. I held firm on my number, as did Commissioner Bolton. And finally, after 6 hours, the mayor and the 2 other commissioners came around and decided to do what's in the best interest of the residents and business owners in the city of Tamarac.
Now that federal money that ain't going to last forever. So are you that's not getting sent down every year? You're confident that you won't have to come back and raise the millage rate in just a year or two?
As I said, for the last 3 years, the city has been over budgeting. So we have been $9 million under budget. So for example, last year, we were 83% of our budget. So just using raw numbers, if you're 83% of, say, for example, a $100 million budget, you spent $83 million, even though you projected to spend $100 million. So for the last 3 years, we've averaged $9 million under budget. And year to date, as of that last commission meeting, the assistant finance director stated clearly that we were $18 million under budget. So no, this will not hurt residents in any way, shape, or form. We have a surplus.
Understood. Mayor Gomez, you did hold out quite a while before agreeing to that millage rate. So obviously, though you eventually voted for it, you must in some sense disagree with cutting property taxes by that much. Can you explain your position and what you may disagree with and what Commissioner Gelin just said?
Yes, basically, I've lived here for a long time, and I remember 2008 when all of our property values plummeted to the fact that it took 12 years for our city to now get back to the rate where we are actually at a revenue that is significant to where we can afford to be able to have the services that the residents need. We're still missing a lot of employees. I remember sitting on that commission when we had to have separation from some of our employees because we couldn't pay them because our values were so low. It seems that it may not be understood how volatile our economic world is at this time, with inflation going as it is, with mortgages rising such as they are, with the cost of supplies and the ability for people to have jobs not as plentiful as it used to be. So all the smart, savvy financial analysts say, hold tight. 24 other cities in the county held tight. The county even did a surplus, a certain set aside for reserves. Only a couple of other cities went down. It's not a matter of trying to hurt our city. It's not a matter of trying to hurt our residents that bear the brunt of it because we're still trying to grow back our commercial business properties that we used to have here in the city. But the fact is, it's a hard decision to make, and it's a balancing game. We have a commission that has asked for more events. We have asked for more buildings. We want a community center on the east side of town. We have Central Park that has not been built, and we promised those residents years ago we would build that park. We have Central on the east side that also has been waiting for a dog park. We're redoing Caparella over there on the east side of town. We need to have money for these things. We've just rebuilt Fire Station 78 within the past 4 years. We did that. We have Fire Station 36. We need a truck for that. It's $1 million at least for that truck. And actually, by the cost of inflation, it's going to be even higher. Our residents we need to then have employees or firefighters on that truck, which can cause, with their benefits and everything that goes there, then you need insurance on the building. These aren't monies that we're just pocketing and putting aside and saying we don't want to do anything with it. There are plans for it. And our city is rated very highly with our financial planning, over 30 years of being given a government award for our ability to financially plan and being smart about it. We need to be able to go out to bonds, possibly get a mortgage, possibly, and we need to be able to repay it. We won't be able to do that if we cut ourselves so low. And I am afraid that there will be certain cuts that will, if our property values go down? As we've read in the newspaper recently, property values are going back down. It's becoming a little bit more level than the high that it was several months ago, say in May. As that being the case, there will be less that will come in, and it could force the city's hand in the future to actually now raise the millage rate back up versus leaving it at status quo, getting the money that we receive. We're going through a hurricane, and knock wood, we won't have some severe damage. But what happens if we did? We have reserves for a reason, and I held out until I was basically, myself and the commission were threatened by saying, that's fine. You don't want it. I don't even want 7.0. I want to go down to the rollback rate, which is 6.4 and change, which would have cut $11 million out of our city, which would have cut our services. We have people upset that they can't get a person on the phone. Can you imagine what's going to happen if we would have had to cut $11 million out? And those employees, we have a third of our employees live in our city. We're telling our employees, we're cutting you. We have about 2.8 on the average for the 4 people per 1,000 we should be having to take care of our city for our employees. Our employees are our best asset. And we're talking about worrying about our residents who are losing jobs. These are our employees. They would be losing jobs too. And so that is why I finally went to the 7.0. I do think that the $14, I know that people want to be thrown a bone. I get it. We're all taxpayers here. I pay taxes to the city just as much, or if not more, than some of the people on the commission. It is what it is. It's for the benefit of the city to make sure that we have the services in place and that we do have pipes that work and that we take care of the flooding that happens during a storm.
Mayor Gomez, Our rank and file city employees getting a pay raise in this new budget?
I believe our contract was, we finally put in a solid pay raise to them of a 3%. I believe that's what it was. Please don't quote me on the percentage.
All right. I want to ask you if Commissioner or Vice Mayor Gelin is right, that the city has been over budgeting. You in effect have too much money, is what I heard him say.
I can't answer if we have too much money. I don't know if we have too much money when I'm told that we can't hire more employees. We can't get another code enforcement personnel. We can't build this. It's going to take how many years in order for us to continue to raise funds to be able to do now Sable, Central Park. The fact that the walls that we were doing, the beautification walls that we were doing throughout the city, we had to stop them. They cost $500 2 years ago. Now with inflation, it's costing us $600. These are things that we're not able to do. So I don't know to say too much money. We have savings for a reason. And
Okay.
obviously we're able to now we're cutting $500,000 from the safety and security plan of the city that was asked for and needed and part of the commission's determination through strategic planning. So we are getting federal dollars, but those are earmarked. And sometimes it feels like some people just don't like the answers that they're given because there's nothing ill here. There's no ill will to what's being said. The truth of the matter is they're one-time dollars and they can only be used for one-time things. They cannot be used for certain things that others may want it to be used for. And they have been allocated. The answers have been given. And that is where it is. And our financial planners are very intelligent.
Okay. What is the status of the issue regarding, I'll ask you both for a comment on this. I've kind of lost track of it, frankly. There was an issue, and Lisa Hurry-Ash wrote a number of news stories about it. The $25,000 discretionary spending account for commission members. Is that still, let me start with you, Mayor Gomez. Is that still alive? Is that still valid?
I am very proud to say that that's one of the items that got cut in the budget. It's something that I finally got consensus for it to get cut. What happened was prior to the increase from it going to 25, there was 6,000. So I guess the negotiation or the mediation of it all wound up being that it'll be down to 6,000 per versus 25,000. So the initiative funds, as it was, has been cut. So I'm very pleased that it has happened.
Vice Mayor, did you support that? You supported that decision?
Yes, before I answer that question, you asked about a raise. All Tamarac employees receive a cost of living increase every single year. That's something that residents in the community that work in the private sector do not receive. You asked about the budget. I have the numbers in front of me. I asked for the numbers and asked that the numbers be given to all the commissioners prior to the last meeting. In 2019, the city of Tamarac budgeted to spend $69 million. We spent $61 million. In 2020, we budgeted to spend $77 million. We spent $67 million. In 2021, we budgeted to spend $71 million. We spent $62 million. And then in the 11 months that ended on August 31st, 2022, we budgeted to spend $71 million. We actually spent $51 million. So yes, we are over budgeting. And it's great that we do that because we're being conservative. We're saving money. So what does that mean? We have enough savings. We have a padding. We can afford to lower the increase of the millage rate to benefit our residents, which are not just taxpayers, but also rental people. Because if you're a landlord and your increase goes up, you pass that increase on to the tenants.
Mr. Gelin, what's a prudent percentage of the general fund in Tamarac to hold in reserve in a contingency account, working capital, whatever terminology you want to use? Isn't it prudent to hold some money back all the time?
We currently have $40 million.
40 million. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. I see the point. It's I wanted to switch to another topic that's been of great deal of interest and concern to many people in Tamarac. I'll start with you, Mayor Gomez. You live in the Woodlands community, right? My question is about this ongoing situation with 13th floor homes wanting to build 335 new single family homes on the site of the Woodlands Country Club. Mayor Gomez, what's the status of that project and what is your position on it?
The status of the project is it's still pending lawsuit, which should potentially, I guess, be done soon. So it's a little hard to say. And the feel is that the process will continue to move forward after the lawsuit is resolved.
And do you support, conceptually even, do you support the development proposal there?
My comment consistently has been and will remain that I will make a decision when I have a fully baked cake, is what I've been saying. I cannot tell you if I support it now or not for two reasons. One, it's a quasi-judicial. I can tell you if I have an opinion on it or not. I'm being removed from the bench in order to be able to make the decision. Two, I don't see how anybody can make a decision on something that is not fully there and say that they like it or don't like it when the complete design has not been provided. I made sure when I was running the first meeting that the site plan was connected to the land development, which was connected to the changing zoning and everything. Because as a person who lives here, I didn't want to have the approvals come in without a tie-in to make sure, because if it's not approved at the second meeting, this way nobody else can come in and just have all the entitlements that the first person had. So I've made sure that it's all tied together.
Okay.
I believe in the process. As I said earlier in our interview, I believe in a process, and it's important that every property owner has the right to be heard, be given the full value of being listened to, and then a determination made.
Understand, okay. Vice Mayor Gelin, your position on the 13th floor project at Woodlands Country Club?
So because it's a quasi-judicial meeting, our decision must be made based on the facts and circumstances of the case. So for example, we are to act as judges and make a decision based on facts related to the case. And one of the reasons why it was important to terminate the city manager is because the city manager tried to extort $3.4 million from 13th floor investments. That's the reason why he was arrested. And in the arrest affidavit, Mayor Gomez says she can't give an opinion, but in the arrest affidavit, she stated to the attorney that she cannot vote on this project, whether or not it's true that there's arsenic in the ground. So here she's saying, oh, she can't discuss it because it's a quasi-judicial matter. But then she's telling the developer and the lobbyist that she can't vote on the matter, whether or not this arsenic issue is true or false. So she's being disingenuous right now. The record shows in the first meeting that I voted against the project based on the facts and evidence in the case. And when the project comes back again, I'll do the same thing, vote based on the facts and evidence and circumstances of the case.
Okay. The clock, just a second, Michelle. The clock's starting to be a factor here, and I want to bring something else up. That this is the opinion side of the Sun Sentinel. We practice opinion journalism, fact-based opinion journalism. I hope, I trust, but I think this is beyond dispute. Something is not right at Tamarac City Hall. The most routine decisions and discussions are unnecessarily contentious. I've watched many of your city commission meetings. I've got friends. I know people who live and pay taxes in Tamarac. There's a lack of civility. There's a tension. You can feel it. You can see it. So I'm going to start with you, Mr. Gelin, and ask you if I'm right in my characterization, and what responsibility do you personally bear for this?
So I think you're wrong in your mischaracterization. I've gone to many city commission meetings myself. I'm a small business owner, and some of my contracts are with other public agencies. So I've gone to city commission meetings in the city of Fort Lauderdale and Hollandale Beach. I've seen commissioners escorted off the dais by police. I've also watched commission meetings outside of the Broward County or Tri-County area. So I've seen some pretty contentious commission meetings. I think what you have in the city of Tamarac is you have a culture dynamic where there are folks that don't respect or don't understand the communication style of newer commissioners who are on the dais. And I think there's tension when you have commissioners like myself who are fighting for the interests of the people when it comes to doing things like lowering property taxes, and someone like the mayor that's fighting for developers and third-party interests. So I think that's where there's that chasm. You have tension when I'm trying to make sure the city does its fiduciary responsibility and conducts a performance evaluation on the city manager. At a recent commission meeting, I asked to have a forensic audit to uncover any potential financial crimes that the city manager may have committed. And the mayor fought for an hour against conducting a forensic audit. So she doesn't want to uncover any potential financial crimes. I don't know if she's related to any of the financial crimes, but we should follow our own fiduciary responsibility and do what's in the best interest of the city.
Okay.
So the tension is there because we have strongly opposing views.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, but I want to keep the conversation moving. 2 minutes is not an unreasonable amount of time to answer a question like this. Michelle Gomez, 2 minutes. Again, my question about lack of civility, contentiousness, it's unnecessary. It's not good for the residents. Mr. Gelin, respectfully, Mr. Gelin disagreed with my premise. That is his right. What do you think?
I think you're 100% right. And I think it even is showing through this interview. The fact of the matter is we're supposed to be dealing with the topics at hand, not saying about somebody else and making statements about whether other people are thinking or not thinking or what they're doing. We should be talking about the facts, and the facts have nothing to do with each other. It's been a world of hypocrisy coming out of some coming from the dais, and it's been disgusting in my opinion at this point. We're all advocating for the best interests of our city. We're all advocating to make sure that our city grows, prospers, and takes care of our residents. And I think it has been palpable and getting worse, unfortunately. I guess today we had a hurricane, so you don't have to have one of our meetings, and we're down to 2 before the election. But it shouldn't be that just because other cities are having little shows doesn't mean that we should be that way too. Our city has always had respectful meetings. I have an opinion, I share it, I go forward. And to some of the other little sound bites that have been mentioned, that's just what they are. They're sound bites full of hypocrisy, and I'm not going to go there for the rest of this interview.
It's a fact that she spent an hour campaigning against conducting a forensic audit on the city manager's finances, that the Attorney General, Ashley Moody, said he was dealing in self-interest and he lied to the highest levels of government. So if he lied to the finance director, if he lied to the accountant, and they made decisions based on his lies, that's something that we need to uncover through a forensic audit.
Understand. Okay. I want to ask Mr. Gelin.
Yes.
You both serve with a young man named Elvin Villalobos on the city commission. He's not in this race. In fact, am I correct? He's not up for re-election this time, right?
Correct.
Okay. So can I take, Mr. Gelin, can I take Elvin Villalobos at his word at something he said on the dais of the city commission meeting?
I don't think you can take him at his word. No, he's proven to be biased.
Biased in what way?
Biased against me and biased in favor of Michelle Gomez.
I see. Okay. Well, I'm gonna quote his statement anyway, and I'm relying on an account from the Tamarac Talk website from the last commission meeting on the millage rate, where he said, and I'm paraphrasing, he said that both you and Mr. Bolton, neither one of you are consensus builders. This is a consensus building position. This is, and it's not always easy, but the at-large mayor of Tamarac is obviously the senior elected official in the city. So what in your background and in your record tells the voters that you're clearly a solid, strong consensus builder?
Because I make decisions based on facts and evidence that's going to be in the best interest of the city of Tamarac. So, for example, in preparation for the budget meeting regarding the tax rate, I sent a text message to 28,000 residents and invited them to come to the meeting and asked if they were willing to absorb a tax increase if they wanted a decrease. And I got responses from many of those residents, and many showed up. And one gentleman even thanked me for making him aware of the meeting. Number 2, I asked for the budgeted to actual numbers for the last 5 years to arm the city commission with information to demonstrate that we don't need a tax increase and we can absorb reducing the budget, because the budget is a fictitious number, and we've proven to go under budget in each of the last 5 years, significantly under budget, and $18 million under budget this year. So I provided data, information to the commission to fully arm them with the information they needed to make a solid decision based on facts.
Okay.
So I brought that evidence in, and they're the ones that were not consensus builders. We were clearly in favor of 7.0 and did not budge. It's not my fault or another commissioner's fault that it took 6 hours for 3 commissioners to finally realize that we were not going to go against the will of our residents and give them a tax decrease that we believe they deserve based on the economic conditions of this country and of this community.
One more question, Mr. Gelin, and this is, again, I take this with a grain of salt. We are responsible for our own reporting and our own journalism, but not everybody else's. But the Red Broward blog claims to have looked at a Facebook post of yours in which you very publicly talked about your ultimate goal is to replace Mike Udine and get on the Broward County Commission. This would be a stepping stone to a county commission seat. Is that correct?
So that's a false statement.
Okay.
I conducted an interview with a nonprofit organization, Juan Flores, and an organization, I don't want to say it in Spanish because my accent's not great, but it's the foundation of the 15th of September, recognizing the independence of many Latin American countries. And he asked me if I would run for Congress, and I said no. And he said, well, what would be the highest position you run for? I said, the highest position I would run for is county commission, because you're still close to the people. Once you run for Congress, senator, governor, in my opinion, you're too far away from the people. And those instances, you're relying on a lot of dollars coming from corporations, and your decisions on voting are going to be largely based on the donors that put you there. So I told him the highest level of government I would be interested in pursuing would be county commissioner and not Congress. So that's where that came from.
Okay. All right. Thanks for clarifying that.
And Michael Udine did call me, and I told him I'm not interested in going after his seat.
Okay. We're almost out of time, and I want to ask you each to make a 1-minute closing statement that is your best case for why you're the best candidate in this race in November. And I'm just going to my discretion, we'll go in reverse alphabetical order, and I'm going to let you go first, Mayor Gomez. Go ahead.
I think I'm the best candidate for remaining the city of Tamarac mayor is because our city has been moving forward. And while there are a lot of sound bites that make sense and savvy statistics that are thrown out, that's not actually what moves the city forward. Consensus building does, listening to the residents and the business owners does, making sure that we have economic development, that our city remains vibrant, making sure our infrastructure is taken care of, and knowing that there are things that we have to do to keep our residents and cities safe. Listening to what's going on in the world around us and understanding the hardships that are coming and that could be coming, that are now coming in the future, and making sure that we plan accordingly, but also trying to do everything we can to make sure that our residents and business owners don't feel the burden as best as possible. I'm the best person for the job because I've been doing it, believe I've been doing it well. We've redeveloped in 2018 when I was here before you. You wanted to know some of the stuff, the goals, adding property value, making sure that the cities where people want to come and put their business, and making sure that we are structurally sound. And I believe I've been doing it. And Tamarac Village is one example. Colony West is a great example. It's a investment in our city, and it is now self-sufficient. And it has been an honor to be able to work with our development community and our residents for the growth of our city. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Michelle Gomez. Vice Mayor Mike Gelin, you have the floor, sir. 1 minute.
Thank you. Thank you for your time today. So my theme for running for mayor is transparency and accountability. So one of the first things I want to do as mayor, day one, is to get approval to conduct a forensic audit to uncover any potential financial crimes that were committed by the former city manager. We have a large senior population, and we have some that are doing very well, that's living in a great community, and we have others that live in under 55 communities that are not doing so well. So within the first 100 days, I want to establish an office of senior health and wellness to connect with our seniors resources, both internal to the city and external with both other government agencies and nonprofit organizations, to help those cities who are help those residents that are living on fixed income, Social Security, and who need resources because they're being priced out of this economy. We did not have a successful community garden, so I want to take a second step at establishing an interactive and successful community garden where we engage our students, engage our schools, and make sure students understand the importance of growing your own food. I want to expand and activate our Youth Advisory Council. We have one, but it's not very well activated. but we're not connecting with enough students. So I want to do that. It's also important for us to attract more businesses to the city of Tamarac and retain and attract high quality jobs so that we can further reduce taxes by increasing our business base and have a better balance between business tax revenue and homeowner tax revenue. And we also need to promote smart growth while maintaining a high quality of life for our residents. It does not make sense to build a storage facility in the middle.
Dan, can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah, that's on Commissioner Gelin's side, not ours.
Oh, sorry.
I ask every Tamarac resident to vote for me. Starting October 6th, we'll vote by mail ballots go out during the early voting period and on election day.
Okay. All right. Onward and upward. Thank you both for being here this morning. Mike Gelin, Michelle Gomez, appreciate it very much. Hope we've helped the city of Tamarac voters make a decision here. And best of luck to both of you going forward. Thank you.